Profanity Nation.
Profanity Nation.
Yeah, it's the new era of man for some old school fans with a new school brand. We got money on the mic with the plan in hand. And Stat Pat to his left, they go hand in hand. And to the right, we got Simpster, he putting it down. It's the Profanity Nation, we running the town, yeah.
It's the Profanity Nation.
Profanity Nation.
Hey, welcome to the show. Welcome to the Profanity Nation podcast, where we are the voice of the professional fan. As usual, joined here by my buddies, Stat Pat. How are you feeling?
Yes, sir. We're doing good, man.
You ready to get going?
Yeah.
All right, Money Mike, how you feeling?
Man, I'll let you know after the game.
Okay, we got a lot to get to. So we got Stat Pat, Money Mike, and yours truly, Simsta, here for the Profanity Nation podcast. We are again in our alternate studio, which I'm kind of liking it, to be honest with you.
Man. I like the dicks, man.
Yeah. It's actually not too bad. But
not too bad.
Next week, we expect to be in our brand new studio, and that's going to be really exciting. So I can't wait to get in there as well. Man. But with that, as usual, if you watch the show, listen to the show, then you know how we start this show. You know how we start the podcast. Mm-hmm. We started with our buddy, Marco Nunez, who's going to go ahead and fill us in on some injuries and some fantasy news and so forth, or anything we want to know. So let's bring him in right now. Okay. Marco, how are you feeling?
Doing well.
Excellent. Lots of sports going on. Of course, Dodgers finishing up right now and so forth. But Money Mike, I know, has a very specific question for you he wants to ask.
Hey, Marco, what's going on, man? I want to ask about our boy Tyreek Hill, because he had a quad injury. He didn't practice all week. They drained some fluid, and then he scored 22 fantasy points. How does that happen?
Was he on your squad, or was he on the opponent's squad?
He was on the opponent's squad,
of course.
I was like, man, dude,
good question.
I'm watching everything, man. I'm like, okay, he has a quad injury. He didn't practice, and then they say, oh yeah, they drained fluid. Like, where did that fluid come from? How did it build up? How how soon or early before the game do you drain that fluid out in order for him to be effective?
Correct. So oftentimes you may do like either the morning of or right before the game type of thing, because what happens is that whenever there's fluid in there or there's swelling, there's a reason why there's swelling, there's fluid in there. It's just your body kind of going through its healing process. It's normal. It's kind of natural. It's supposed to do that type of thing, right? But if you do it too early, that swelling will kind of accumulate back. So usually what they do it right before the game, that morning up, and then what they need to do, they need to make sure they put some kind of compression on that area to prevent from the swelling accumulating again and building up in that area. Odds are that after the game, there's probably was more swelling accumulated. Once you took out the compression, I wouldn't be surprised if tomorrow some of the swelling kind of reaccumulated in that area type of thing in there again. But usually what they do this is that the athletes don't practice it all during the week, and the goal is to get them to be able to play Sunday.
Yeah. I think he practiced on Friday.
I have a question for you. Yeah. Those type of treatments, just to get you out there to play, do those over time add up to anything, or are they relatively zero toll on the body?
No. I mean, it does pull a toll on your body as far as long term, where whether you have athletes developing like something simple as arthritis, whether on the knees and the ankles, on the hands, or anything of that sort. Oftentimes the athletes are told, and they're aware of some of the issues, so a little bit of the side effects more long term than short term. One of the biggest issues is like when an athlete takes what's referred to as a total shot or total injection, which is kind of more of a numbing effect. Sometimes there's huge side effects. I mean, I'm not trying to knock down the position over with the San Diego Chargers, but you guys remember last year with Tyrod Taylor, he had a little bit of rib contusion, and they did an injection. And they accidentally kind of punched his lung, and then that's effect. So that was kind of like more long term because he was out for the rest of the season type of thing. So there are some side effects, and obviously there's some downsides to it. So you got to be careful, and as an athlete, you got to be aware. Again, it always comes down to the risk reward. Is the risk higher than the reward? Then you may not go with it. If the reward's higher, then you go with it than the risk. Same thing. I always talk about what was that receiver way back then with the Philadelphia Eagles, Terrell Owens. Remember, every doctor told him, don't play. It was a Super Bowl. I mean, if you were Terrell Owens, would you say, the risk was a lot higher than the reward, but he was willing to go ahead and take that risk?
And he had a pretty good game.
He had a really good game.
And he had a pretty good game, exactly.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you about that. That Tyrod Taylor thing. They have these journeyman quarterbacks that kind of go around the league. They're good enough to be in the league. They're good enough to start, but they always get hurt. Like same thing with Fitzpatrick. Like Fitzpatrick already balls out and he just gets hurt. But that Tyrod Taylor thing, like I kind of felt like, and I know this was not the case, but they punctured his lung, and then all of a sudden then we have Herbert who comes and just balls out, becomes offensive rookie of the year, and then Tyrod Taylor got to go somewhere else, and it wasn't his fault. And the same thing happened to him in Cleveland. He was over there, he got hurt, and and then it was
Baker Mayfield.
Baker Mayfield. It was a wrap. but the punch and lung thing, like. I know you're aware that that's a possibility that could happen, but how difficult or easy is that to happen if you're not careful?
I mean, if you're not being careful, you can. That's why oftentimes when physicians do any type of injection, it's always highly recommended that they do it under what's referred to ultrasound. Just like you do with the babies, they view it, they do the injection. I just recently had a friend that did a PRP injection. I told him, hey, make sure if you go to whatever doctor you go, you want to make sure that they hopefully do it under an ultrasound. If they don't, you may want to kind of suggest it, but you oftentimes do it on an ultrasound to make sure that everything's kind of going according to plan. But to your take, as far as like Tyrod Taylor, it wasn't his fault. Herbert came in, he just put it out of his mind, and now he became the new quarterback for the Chargers. And again, it happens more than when we think. I mean, look at Tom Brady and Drew Bledsoe.
Yeah,
I mean, that's probably one of the biggest examples that people talk about. I mean, if Drew Bledsoe wouldn't have gotten hurt, where would Tom Brady be right now?
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. Sometimes destiny is funky, but it is destiny, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
It's just crazy though. Like it's kind of disappointing when you see things like that because they're good. They just get hurt.
I mean, at the same time, these guys are getting they have their replacement that's being drafted, and they're waiting. They're waiting for the injury. Like they're waiting for them to have a bad game so they can go ahead and put in the top draft pick.
Are you suggesting that the punctured lung? Maybe
was that?
We're gonna get benched.
Is that what you're?
Yeah, he was gonna get benched.
I'm just trying to figure this out. Like same thing with Jared Goff. You know what I mean? Like who was ahead of him? I forgot who was ahead of him, but then all of a sudden he got hurt, and then Goff came in and
everyone wanted Goff.
Like my whole thing is like, look, if you're gonna do that, just go ahead and start them and make Tyrod Taylor.
They would actually like to give him a half a year to basically look at and learn the game and not throw him right into the fire because he's a rookie. He doesn't have to start right then, especially if you have somebody capable to win games in front of him. If you don't, then you need to just go ahead and throw him in there, just like Trevor Lawrence is in Jacksonville. Ain't nobody in front of him. He got to go from day one, and he got to learn on the job.
And they won. Did they win today?
Well, yeah, barely.
All right. Are we still on injury talk? It's
what it is, man.
Yeah, I think we skipped a subject here. Okay, Marco. Well, we'll let you go early today. We thank you very much. Please let everyone know how and the best way to keep up to date with what you've got going on.
Yeah, if everybody's interested in asking me any questions regarding injuries, regarding football, fantasy, or just the NBA now that's coming up, feel free to either follow me on Instagram or DM me at Marco A. Nunez 17, or subscribe to my YouTube channel at Evolve Athletic Performance.
All right, Marco. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week, buddy. We're going to be in your new studio next week, so it should look a little different, a little bit more normal.
Yeah,
we'll see.
I want to be able to look at you, man.
Yeah, technically the TV is behind them, so they can't see you. I'm the only one who can see you, so it's a little bit awkward for them. But the camera's over here, the screens are over here, and I'm over there. But
hey, don't worry about it. You guys aren't missing much.
Thanks, Marco. We'll see you next week, buddy. Thank you.
Right. Take care.
All righty, guys. All right. So I think I was really curious about that and asking him that question about the treatment just to get you out there playing, draining the fluids. So like I said, it's got to add up, right? So I really wonder at the end of the day, when you're looking at a professional, let's just say football athlete, when you're looking at a pro football player's injuries post-play, retirement, how much of that maybe is related straight to the injury or to the treatment to speed up the healing of the injury?
I think it all goes into the same. I think it's this, because
Meaning that if you had that injury and just took your time and wasn't worried about getting on the field on Sunday, it wouldn't have.
Oh no. I hear what you're saying with that. I think when it comes to speeding up the process, I don't think that's always. I don't know how that can be good.
It can't, right?
I mean,
No,
it's just to get you, like you said, on the field so we can play today.
Yeah.
We're not worrying about 2 years forward. You're not worried about retirement. We're talking about today.
Yeah.
And if you can play today, you worry about retirement when you're done.
Yeah. And you're on your own, by the way,
Right,
when that happens. You're on your own. They're not. You no longer have team doctors there to help you. You just deal with your pain, and you have your wife or your family, and that's it. Okay, I can tell what happened there. Another Dodger loss at the end. That's unfortunate. We're not going to stick too much to that.
And we're done with that.
Yeah, we're done with that. I am going to say I would like to talk really quick and just say that I am so with you. We were sitting here before we started the show, and Stat Pat and myself are talking, and I don't. Do you watch a lot of baseball regular season?
No, I don't watch a lot of regular season.
No, and I don't watch a ton of regular season baseball. I love the Dodgers and so forth.
Yeah.
But I just don't watch a ton. It's kind of, to be honest, kind of slow, a little boring.
I go to like 8 games a year with my family.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay, so that's about right. But they play 160 some games, so there you go.
I mean,
like 81 at home.
So
man.
I don't even know. Is that like that's not even?
You only go 10%.
That's not. I was gonna say that's not even like 1% of the games. I think
games you go to, man?
2%.
How many basketball games
I
you
mean,
go to?
look, I didn't say I was a Dodger.
No.
fan.
But my point
I
is,
watch enough to be like I'm interested.
But my point at this is, damn. I mean, going from regular season, which can be kind of boring, to postseason, which is so stressful. And I mean, to just be a kind of part-time fan, I can't imagine these full-time Dodger fans.
It's a pressure cooker.
Yeah.
And I don't see how. I have a friend that is really like baseball is his number one sport, and he watches 162 games, and he's just sitting there, and it's pitch after pitch after pitch, and you're hanging on every pitch, and everything gets magnified in the postseason. I mean, that goes without saying that every sport gets magnified, but it's like the fact that it's like one pitch, and then you got to wait, and then he's like, okay, we don't know what's about to happen again. Another pitch, and then you just like, and that's just how it goes. And then if they keep scoring, you're like, I need to get the ball back, and then you get the ball back, and you're not getting it back, and they just keep pouring it on, pouring it on, pouring
exactly.
on.
When that momentum's against you, you're in trouble.
Yeah, and it's like,
it's so stressful.
At least in basketball, or football, you score, I get the ball back to try to score again. So like, at least I know it's almost instant.
Exactly. Instant back and forth.
Yeah, for me, I need something to be good. Like I need a great pitcher. You know what I mean? And I'm if like, for example, if Kershaw's pitching,
you're in.
I want to watch him because I want to see him strike everybody out because it's Kershaw. But if it's like the third pitcher that that's just okay, then
let me ask you this though: is it the same when you're watching a different team pitch against us or even do you ever watch any baseball that doesn't involve the Dodgers?
I have to. Here's the thing:
regular season. Is there any game that would get you off the couch to watch?
I like rivalry games.
Okay, so
if it's on and it's like both the Red Sox and the Yankees are good, I'll watch that game.
Okay.
Or if both the Cubs and the Cardinals good, I'll watch that game.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know the history behind it, and I know I know it's everyone cares about that game. Even the people that are the casual fans, we care about that game.
Yeah.
Same thing. I bet when the Dodgers played the Giants, everyone's watching that game because we hate each other.
Right.
And everybody can feel it.
And they were celebrating.
Yeah, dude.
That pay spot.
Yeah, dude. Like, so that's how it goes. I mean, but other than that, I'm not gonna watch the random. I don't care who's on. I don't care if it's like Tatis from the San Diego Chargers going against the truck. I'm all over the place, guys.
I disagree with that. Like, I'm not an Angel fan, but shoot, it's Shohei Ohtani. He's pitching and hitting home runs. The dude led the league in home runs. And he's striking out people. He's getting like 10 strikeouts and he got like 50 home runs. If Shohei, I want to watch that. But again, to my point, it literally has to be something going on. It has to be that storyline. It has to be a great pitcher that I want to see strike out a whole lot of people or a whole lot of hitting. Like, for example, remember when it was Canseco and then Mark McGwire?
Yeah.
Right.
And then what was Seattle when they had they had
they had Ken Griffey, they had Alex Rodriguez, and they had Edgar Martinez.
Yeah, I mean, right. I want to watch that because I know they're gonna hit a home run.
Right.
But if it's mediocre team versus a mediocre team where ain't nobody gonna hit home run, ain't nobody gonna have
But
no
they're
great
playing
pitcher.
great defense.
So the pitcher's duel.
The pitcher's doing.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
All right,
And
all
then
right.
they foul the ball off 10 times. Like, oh,
Okay, so for the record, we're gonna stamp it as the Dodgers are 0-2 against the Braves, but next week it's
for
gonna
the
be
record,
better.
yeah,
Oh man, but look,
Yeah.
man, they're coming to the dojo.
They're coming
to
home.
LA.
Yeah, so
They're coming to LA.
now we're gonna
hey,
All right.
this is when we're about to come back.
We about to turn up.
So we were just talking about it. Okay, so we are in Los Angeles. We host the show from Los Angeles. You have to know that if you watch the show. Lakers, Dodgers, of course, that's what we're talking about. Rams, Chargers, and so forth. We watch all sports, but or all teams, but those are our teams. We're gonna stick with that. Tuesday in LA is a big day. Tuesday, October 19th is a big day in Los Angeles,
Yeah.
sports wise.
Yep.
Fill us in, Pat.
So we got game 3 of the NLCS. It's going to happen between the Braves and the Dodgers. So that's going to be an awesome game, right? So it's going to happen, I think, around 2:00 on Tuesday. But then, of course, at the end or the later game will be opening night for the Lakers, and we're going to play against the Warriors. Now, I don't know where you want to lead into, but is there something going on with? People are looking at the Lakers preseason games, and they're trying to hold them to their preseason record. And I think we're maybe going to talk about that. Like, does the 0-6 or what is 0-6, 0-9? Does that count? Do we?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter about that. And I'll give that to the money.
Look, man, I think there are things that you always kind of want to work on. And see like progress. I didn't see that. I didn't see a standard lineup that they had.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see that. Okay, I know we don't. This don't count. So since this don't count, we're gonna try a couple of things. Do we know what the lineup is?
Well, now with injuries.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
The injury
that's
bug.
what I'm saying. So that's my point. So everybody played. LeBron and everybody played, and they said, okay, we look great the first quarter and a half, and I'm like, okay, but I'm not convinced that we actually know what they're going to do outside of the starters, the rotation, and all those types of things. So
I read a quote, and Vogel, I'm totally paraphrasing here, so I'm not going to quote him, but he was quoted as saying something along these lines that the offense they're going to run this year is a more unpredictable, go with the flow offense.
That's when you know. Okay, that's when you know.
That's what he said. He saw because
then
then defenses can't predict and get set.
he's more of an open offense.
Yeah.
So what does that mean?
That means that don't hold me accountable to
you know
shit.
what it means. I ain't got
I'm
no
a
plays.
defensive coach.
I ain't got
And
no
that's
plays.
what I'm doing. That's exactly that.
Yes,
That
dude,
quote
it told me everything.
worried me a little bit because that basically means that, you know what, we're just going to let our top talent play and see where it falls. That's kind of what that is saying.
Roll
if you
the
ask
ball
me.
out there and play pick up.
So we see why preseason could be important, right? Because if they're running this open offense and we weren't effective, like these games weren't even close or competitive, they were getting blown out. Like
what is he talking about? Like other teams, who else is doing that?
I don't know.
I don't know what he's talking about.
It looks like, we don't have like the inside, scoop when it comes to other teams, so we don't really know what they run for the most part. But we do think that when somebody on the bench has some kind of like, offensive capabilities, and like especially coaching capabilities, coaching them up. It looks like he's like, I'm just gonna worry about the defense. I'm gonna let Russ and LeBron handle everything else.
Yeah, they're gonna call Rondo when he's in there.
And that's it. And y'all just
They'll call,
run a pick, do a cut, and hope for the best. And
ISO ISO that,
and kick out. If that's the quote,
it kind of feels like to me he doesn't know what he has, and that's why he's saying I don't know what I have yet.
That's the problem, right?
That is, I think it's a problem.
Because see, here's the thing. I've been saying the whole time that we have to have Westbrook have the ball and him control the offense, and then have LeBron play off ball. I think that should be practiced though, right? Like, in order for this to be able to happen. Because see, my biggest fear, you guys saw it when Westbrook was in Houston. He played off ball because Harden had the ball the whole time, and then everybody was like, "Is Westbrook washed up?" Everybody saw when he went over to Washington, even though they weren't good, he played on the ball, and you saw how effective he was. What is he going to do over here? And why are we not running that offense? In the preseason, so we just could get an idea of what that looks like.
Well, they were doing some things that I thought was actually pretty good in the last game. We lost the game. But when Westbrook was cutting to the basket, and they were using his strength in a way where if he has a lane and he makes that cut and he has a full head of steam, this hard to beat. Hard to a guard to stop Russell when he's got the momentum going to the basket. And there's a lot of guys that kind of like bounce off of him, and and he was able to make these plays. Like there was a couple of times where they ran a couple of backdoor cuts and let him go ahead and cut to the basket. So I'm thinking they're going to go ahead and do that. They're working on a lot of stuff. I don't think they're going to show because remember they're playing Golden State. Golden State, we talked on the last show. They want to go ahead and probably make a statement in that game, and I think the Lakers also do not want them to lose an opening night against them. And because at the end of the day, I'm predicting Golden State to be number 2 and number 3 seed this year. So it's going to be a big matchup.
Okay, so we know what happened when the big three went to Miami. First 20 games, they were 9-8, or first 17 games, they were 9-8.
Right at 500.
Is that something that we're going to be able to? First of all, I don't care what happened back then. That's unacceptable to me. But
this is what it'll depend on.
Something that we can expect.
Okay, if we expect 500 ball be up to about 20 games, you're asking, is that acceptable? To me,
that you guys,
yeah. It will be acceptable as long as what we see in those wins are sparks of what can be and what they're developing, and then in the losses are things that maybe just didn't work out, things they tried but they're now moving towards this direction. It will really depend if it's wins based on just Hail Mary 3-point shot at the end of the game against whoever, some team that shouldn't even win, Oklahoma or so forth, and we're just sitting there. That's going to be scary.
See, this is what's interesting to me though about this, because
I am a little concerned, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I wasn't going in. I actually am a little concerned. I don't like the whole it's preseason talk.
Right.
Winning's winning. It's a culture. Losing is also a culture, and it's contagious.
Yeah, and if you remember back then when they went 9-8, they said that the problem was that LeBron was being too timid and was allowing Dwayne and considered it to be Dwayne Wade's team.
Yeah,
and Dwayne Wade wanted LeBron to take the lead and then that's when it got on track. I think we can absolutely not do that here, because we need Westbrook to be in order for him to be effective. He has to, handle the ball more. So my question is, if that happens, if it goes under what I think is needed in order for Westbrook to be effective, is LeBron kind of letting Westbrook control it? Will that create a bad 500 for the first 20 games?
I mean, at the same time, even whatever happens, whatever they did to get that 500 record is unacceptable, especially when you're talking about what they have to do in the West. It's the West. Now, what we're talking about in Miami, they were doing that in the East. They can go ahead and sleepwalk.
I'd like to point out, when you're talking about the strength of a conference and so forth, the Dodgers and the Giants this year. Right. Great friggin' example. One game.
Yeah.
One game separated them, and you're in the wild card fighting for your life.
Yeah, and so and that's why you can't.
And in the West, it's going to be 1, 2, or 3 games might separate first through sixth.
Yeah, and you can't start 9-8. You cannot start 9-8. So, I really believe though. I think they're going to get it together. I don't want to go in panic mode if they lose the first game. Matter of fact,
I'm not concerned with it.
If they lose the first game and they really look bad, I think they need to get their stuff together. Like it's almost like a wake up call.
But they had preseason to do that.
But you talk. See, that's the thing. See, the same people that put too much emphasis on preseason are the same people that kind of discount our bubble season. Like the same people that like say, oh, the Lakers are 0-6, but they want to discount the bubble. Like you can't have it both ways. You can't just do that. You got to be like, look, man, take it in context. I see improvement. Other people don't. But I'm not out there playing. So I'm gonna let them go out there and play and let them do their thing and see what happens after that. I think when you talk about Westbrook, he has to have the ball. We know that you can't trade for Westbrook and then all of a sudden say, "Hey,
he's a post-up shooter."
See, that's what I'm fearing from when we were talking here on the show. Like, are we really believing that LeBron got this man and recruited this dude just to take the ball from him and let him be that guy that he would with Houston? That doesn't make any sense. Why would you do that? You know his strength. I mean, that's just saying that LeBron is like, what kind of guy is he to know?
His IQ is too high. His
It's
basketball
way too
IQ.
high. I mean, there's no way you're going to get, Westbrook over here and then take the ball away from him. We've seen what that movie looks like. It's a bad movie.
Money Mike. LeBron's very smart. We don't argue with that. Business, basketball, definitely high IQ. You may question some of his end of game.
I love it's off the court.
Okay. He learns from the past athletes and the greats that came before him. He studies them. I believe that. Is Westbrook LeBron's answer to getting to play with Bronny? Is Westbrook going to take does he see Westbrook as Westbrook can take enough of the load off of me that I can extend my season to play NBA with my son?
There's so many.
We two years away from that.
Yeah, there's so much to that.
But he can get there, but he still wants to be a very good functional player when he's there. He doesn't want to just be playing at a subpar level. So he knows he has a goal, and it's not just play for 20 years.
Well, then if that's the case, then LeBron's gone, because then there's no way we're going to get Bronny.
No, not whether we get him or not, but he wants to play in the league when his son does.
In the league.
So he wants just wants to extend his career. He wants to take some minutes and some heat off himself in these last couple seasons so that he still has gas to play 1 or 2 seasons.
That's fair.
When his son is in the league. And does he see Westbrook as the answer to doing that?
No, I don't think that's what he's doing. I think everybody knows Father Time is undefeated. A 21-year vet, LeBron James is still could make a roster. I say that.
Oh yeah,
he still can make a roster. He may not be a starter. Well, he's gonna start because his name was LeBron James.
Yes,
but he definitely will be like effective in games, kind of like how Kobe was. Like Kobe,
knew how to adjust his game he could still do.
He wasn't going to be effective 10 straight games, but 5 or 6 of those games, he was going to be very effective. With the other 4, he was just going to, not just show up, but he was going to be.
He always gave his all.
A good part. He was going to be a good part of it, but he wasn't able to do that every game.
LeBron, how many years is LeBron in right now?
19.
19.
Yeah,
and he didn't have to deal with an Achilles.
Yeah.
So when Kobe was in year 19, he was a shell of his old self.
Yeah.
Whereas LeBron is actually still putting up in his last game. In that last game that we're talking about, the preseason game, he had 36 and 6. So he's still doing that. Kobe ain't never did no 36 and 6. He did that 60 game. He did that. He did that. He did it. And I can't say, he can't do it. He did it. But it was
he couldn't do it consistently at that age.
He ain't doing 62. He's not doing 62 and 3/4. He's not doing a run of 30-point games and 15. No, he's not doing that. He did it one game. He had that one game in him.
Yeah.
Where I think LeBron has more in the tank to be able to do that.
Unless a major injury happens.
Well, yeah, and God forbid, man, because that's on our watch. That's on our time.
Right. Right.
All right. So Lakers are winless. We'll see what happens in that when the season begins on the 19th. Now, again, we were saying that's a big day in LA. Money Mike, what would you say if you just had to guess as the crow flies? What's the distance between Staples and Dodger Stadium?
About 5 miles.
Okay. So to have those big events. Yeah. Okay. Now, the Dodger game starts around 2, is usually about a 3-hour game. So people leave about 5 to 6. Laker game starts at 7:30. People will be arriving about 5 or 6.
Oh, it's
and terrible. You have rush hour traffic because it's in downtown LA. Add that, which is already horrendous.
Yeah.
Here's my question:
Stay away from downtown.
But I have to get to the game. Now I will tell you this: I live with no traffic, 16 minutes from Staples Center. Next week, I'll let you know how long it took me to get there.
Take about an hour, bro.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
Here's my question: it's gonna be one. Who is the one that's going to go to the Dodger game, then go to the Laker game?
I would do it if I'd be right there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
There'd be a few.
That's an amazing day.
Yeah.
You wake up on Tuesday.
Yeah. Yeah.
You literally
No work today.
'cause I
Sorry,
know
guys.
if
Yeah,
I
that's
was-
what I'm saying, dude.
Yeah.
And all of that. I'm not at work, number one.
Right.
Number two.
All right. What I'd like to say
Here's
here.
the thing about that though, like if I'm doing that,
Uh-huh.
I'm putting on my Dodger gear, going to the Dodger game, and I'm taking my Dodger gear off and going to and putting my
Putting your
Laker
Laker gear on.
on.
Oh yeah, yeah. I would like to put this out there into the streaming and the universe. I myself already have 50% of that taken care of. I have my ticket for the Laker game. If anybody out there happens to have a spare Dodger ticket and wants to make this thing come true, I already have my 50%. All I need is one ticket to the Dodger game, and we can make this happen, guys. And I will take one for the team, Money Mike, if I have
to. Hey, let me tell y'all, this guy always takes one for the team.
I'm a kind guy,
he
right?
was at the Raider game,
Monday Night
on the
Football.
field. Monday Night Football on the field, looking at the back of the Raiders jersey.
Exactly. One of the last games Gruden ever coached.
Oh yeah, it turned up in history.
And I ended up in the press conference.
He was in his final press conference.
I think I was actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just caught it at the break there. All right, everybody.
That's all we're gonna say.
Poor Gruden. Well, we'll see. Okay, everybody, don't go anywhere. We will be right back. We just want to say hello to the people who help us out. So we will be right back. Don't go anywhere.
The Profanity Nation is now the official podcast of the Los Angeles Lakers fan club on Clubhouse. Be sure to join, over 5,000 strong and growing. Also, text Lakers to 22828 for a chance to win a free t-shirt. Again, text Lakers to 22828 for a chance to win a free t-shirt.
The Good News Radio and Podcast Network is where you can access and find some of the best shows and personalities in the business live and on demand right at your fingertips. It's simple. Just download the Good News Radio app and enjoy all of your favorite shows on the network.
That's it. And that's true because that is our family. Again, as you see, we are in the Good News Radio studio. So definitely the Good News Radio. No question about it. They are the way to go. Also, if you happen to be in the Chatsworth, California area, that is in the San Fernando Valley, and you just want to chill and relax for a second, 818. The 818, dog. That's my hood. That's where I grew up. If you want to hang out in Chatsworth and you want to say hello and relax a little bit, you can stop by the Pure Life Alternative Wellness Center. They help us out. They sponsor the show. They keep me chill. That's for sure. You guys do not want to see me when I haven't had a chance to stop by the Pure Life Alternative Wellness Center, because let me tell you something. Keeps me chill. So if you want to go hang out, you want to chill, if you want to hang and chill with me at a Dodger game and you have that extra ticket again on the 19th, I'm going to keep pushing that. Just why not? Who knows what happens?
Hey, you never know, man.
You never know, right? We got some really good fans out here.
Send a DM to our Instagram.
Yeah, Simsta. There you go. Send a DM or Simsta at the Profanity Nation.
No. Do it to the Profanity Nation, because I may see the message.
Exactly. I knew you were going there. You're trying to intercept, my friend.
Hey, Money Mike, you want to go to the Dodger game?
That is funny. You're trying to intercept. Exactly.
Hey, see, I got the trophy.
Man,
I got both trophies on here. See,
I know, right?
All right, guys. So I would like to talk about this. I love the NBA. I have my thoughts. I have my thoughts and my feelings about Kyrie Irving, and I personally would I want him on my team. His talent, yes, but personally I think he's a distraction. I think some of the things he does and says, it's just kind of out there, and I don't know how this all became. He was kind of quiet in the league before, I guess, but then
he's always
did
been
this
different.
Now, so I'm not ever going to be a Kyrie defender, but I will just defend right and wrong and what just seems to make sense and what doesn't seem to make sense. And I just want to ask you guys this: does it make sense that Bradley Beal, who is unvaccinated, can travel to Barclays, play the Nets in a game, be just fine? However, Kyrie Irving, because he's on the Nets, is not allowed, because he's unvaccinated, to play in that same game, in that same building. I don't get it. Can you help me out here?
Well, it doesn't really made sense to me either, because literally these are they have the same thing. You have two unvaccinated players, and the only difference between them is what team is paying them. And I feel that the NBA needs to make a guideline, wherever it is, whether we agree to it or don't agree to it, and not. I think it's a chicken crap way on how the NBA is handling it, where they're talking about the vaccination.
They're deflecting off. Oh, it's the city. It's not us.
They're saying we're going to abide by what the city is doing versus making their own rule and guideline. I feel that the NBA needs to make their rule or guideline. Whether it's if you're vaccinated, you play or don't play, or
consistent.
Just be consistent.
How is that? How is that fair?
So hold on. So if we're talking about that, is it more the city or is it more the NBA? And what I'm saying is, who's making the decision that Kyrie's not playing? Is that the NBA?
What the NBA is saying, that they are going to abide by what the city.
But the city is saying that Kyrie has to be vaccinated.
So the rule.
So the city is now allowing somebody from out of town to come in there and play the game, or is it an NBA?
The rule.
That's what I'm saying.
The rule is when it's a venue over 10,000 places that that every employee of that arena has to be vaccinated. That's the rule. Right. So because that is the rule and they are an employee of the Nets.
Yet the traveling team is not an employee.
Right. They're not. Right. So therefore, that's the rule. So they're saying if that's the rule, then Kyrie and Andre Wiggins, because San Francisco has the same rule, but Andre Wiggins decided to get vaccinated. Kyrie was not allowed to practice or play in New Jersey. He is allowed to travel and practice.
So he can come to Staples
arenas
and play, but yet he's never.
Would he be able to go and play in San Francisco?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's
Wiggins would not if Wiggins wasn't vaccinated.
So the cities are being stupid about it.
I don't think it's the city. It's the NBA.
It's the NBA.
But you're talking about like
it's the NBA's interpretation.
So the NBA is deflecting the vaccination rule to the city, which I think that's why I think it's wrong.
Cowardly.
Right? I think because they're not really taking a stance on it one way or another. They're kind of just saying, okay, we're gonna abide by what the city is. Now, I think that they need to take a stance so that way it's fair across the board, because Kyrie doesn't have any control over what the state of New York does or New Jersey, and Andrew Winless, and
neither do the Nets, who have a lot of effing money invested in that man, and they built a team around that man with. Don't get me wrong, Durant's here, but Kyrie was. I mean, come on, man. This is if the NBA needs to step up. You're right. It's a city rule, sure, but private businesses and corporations are making all sorts of choices and mandates these days.
Right.
The NBA needs to step up, and if a county, city, or state rule says this player can't play in his own because of this reason, then any visiting player who falls under that should not be able to play. That's the only way. If not, compare it to baseball. That's like saying, well, yeah, you can have a pinch hitter. One team can, but this other team's not allowed to.
Right.
It's just, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Are you going to put an asterisk next to their record at the end of the season and say you're going to have two records, right? With Kyrie, without Kyrie. Yeah. I mean, and then what happens in the playoffs? Is he not there? I mean, then they really don't even want home court advantage, because then they play 4 games at home without him. Where if they
imagine they're literally tanking games just so they can be
they can have Kyrie for 4 games instead of 3 in a 7-game series. They'd actually prefer to be on the road.
And then what makes it really difficult is now you have the owner and then you have the GM. They have to make a decision on if Kyrie's going to be part of the team. Is he going to participate? Is he, are they going to be is he going to be part of the meetings? Is it going to be a distraction? It's a lot. It's a lot of that.
And then when you're talking about this much money, how long will this last? Mm-hmm. Do we get rid of them now, and then all of a sudden towards the end of the season they go, okay, and all of a sudden they dump the player and change the rules once again?
And that's what I was telling you. Like earlier, I was saying, if I'm the Nets, I'm like, okay, this will play itself out, and I'm eating a year. Like I'm going to eat the year.
They already did that with Durant's injury.
I'm going to eat this year because I cannot see him going somewhere else and get rid of him and get like pennies on the dollar and then see all of a sudden and got to play this man now in the playoffs.
And he's MVP caliber
and he's killing it because he's pissed off. So.
See, and that's my question. Like, do I want this headache? I could trade him and get somebody who's vaccinated.
So what's equal value for him?
I mean, listen.
Talk to me about the trade that could be available.
We talked about it. Off air. I'll bring it up here. I'm not saying it's equal value, but all I'm saying is they have two players that are having conflict with their teams.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you put a Ben Simmons play to his strengths, maybe throw in another player because we are giving Kyrie, that may be a solution where the Nets, because the Nets are supposed to be meeting the Lakers in the finals. So how much is that going to be derailed if we have to deal with this Kyrie situation? We know with Ben Simmons, he cannot shoot, but we know he has great defense. We know that we could use him and play him to what his strengths are. We have Harden, we have KD who could score and do it. But Harden plays no defense. So so that kind of fills the Harden hole if they get Ben Simmons over and possibly another player, and they don't have to deal with the headache of what's going on.
It's like, but when I look at,
I wait it out.
Because when I'm looking at Kyrie and Harden back as a backcourt, I'm looking at like when you can run pick and roll off of either or, and then when I kick out to one of those, they have the ability to shoot, or they can attack the defense. And when the defense trying to reset, when they scramble mode, they can make plays for others. Like either go ahead and give it to, Kevin Durant going to be pretty much in the scramble mode. He's going to be pretty much wide open, which is weird to know that somebody going to have to collapse on the defense and leave a KD open.
Yep.
So I don't want to give up that advantage. And
you don't get that back.
You can't. And I don't. And I will have to eat it because I just because I made this three-headed monster so I can see it out.
Yeah.
So if my man Kyrie is eccentric and he's a flat earther and he got all these different, views, that's fine. You paid for it. That's what you're paying for. You got the man. You knew who he was before he got on your team. You knew this, and so now you got to deal with all of Kyrie. And so I would eat it. I would not trade him. I would just say, hey man, this is what it is. Now one thing I noticed, and I'm gonna ask you, Sim, what do you think about how does his teammates feel about that stance? Like, how do you think? Are you think they're riding with him? Or you think they're okay with him being who he is and costing them games? Because at the end of the day, they don't win a championship because of him not being on the court. That affects them and their legacy. So how do you think they would go ahead and react to that?
I think that because of the team process and the team thought and them discussing becoming and teaming up, that they're going to ride with their boy for now. Also because in all reality, it isn't really as strange, his decision. I think the numbers out there are roughly 20% right now of some workforces are refusing to get vaccinated, and some are willing to walk away from their jobs. Some are willing to walk away from pensions. Those are nurses, doctors, firemen, police. These are people who have worked their whole lives or are willing to walk away for whatever their reasons are, right or wrong.
Right.
So really, some of the other stuff that he's done or said, yeah, it's out there. If he was just woo, 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 and that's why he wasn't playing, okay. But this one here, he's not as alone as you might, as it might seem. So no, I think they're going to ride with him. I think that they would wait it out as well. I think that they'll look back years later and go, what if, what could have been if the season goes down the tubes because of it. But no, I think they'll ride with their boy. Now, what kind of surprises me is the NBA is a promotional powerhouse. That's what they do best. They promote their players, they promote their games, they promote their rivalries, they promote the expected finals. Some may even say, to the point, Laker hater would say, oh, they even fixed games in the 2000s in order to make sure, all this stuff. Yet you said it yourself, this is supposed to be the finals preview is Lakers Nets, and their very own decision is hampering that really to a major degree. And the publicity they're getting for that is not going to substitute what they would have gotten if the Nets face the Lakers with full squad. So
but
they will figure it out because of that.
Yeah. But here's the thing though too. If I'm the NBA, I'm like, hey, Lakers, Lakers Milwaukee sounds good too.
Yeah, no, they don't want that.
Speaking of Milwaukee, I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to Giannis.
He's playing, right?
I think he got a jumper now.
Yeah, they said he did it off season.
Yeah,
they say he did. That's what I'm saying.
And I'm saying
he's improving himself.
And I'm just telling you right now, that man if he shoots 35% from three,
MVP.
He's definitely MVP. He's better than KD. I mean, because he can
he's stronger.
He can deal up.
Yeah. Right.
So now you got to go ahead and deal with him on the outside out there. Not to mention he takes 2 steps and he's already at the rim. So and if he gets an offensive rebound, he's gonna bang on you. So it's like,
we're overlooking the Bucks?
Oh,
everybody is. So do you think the NBA knows? You know what'll be interesting to see? You know how you can tell who's the favorite is by all the NBA commercials and the players that they put in those commercials and the teams they highlight when they go, oh, the NBA is great.
Right.
They've never really, Giannis was never great. Zion was the new playboy, and then now he's kind of, will they move back to Giannis and push him as?
Oh, I think 100% because.
And will that be somewhat because of what's happening with the Nets?
Yeah, you maybe like, okay, well, switcheroo.
Yeah, switcheroo, and Giannis is looking there going.
And then all of a sudden you're going to see like the Vegas odds.
Nets go.
And then it's like the NBA is like, oh, what did Vegas say? Okay, well, let's just go. Okay,
then they'll get in the ear of Stephen A. And they'll say, Stephen A, we need you to promote this. Please promote this. And he'll go, hey guys.
We already read about the journalists and their integrity the past couple of weeks. So.
Yeah.
And look, we all know, like even last year, even though it were 3 over there, I think they only played like 10 games total the whole season, and they still were pretty good. I mean, KD would literally, if you wore 12 versus a 13 or whatever you wear.
Yeah, the shoes.
They would go.
I think that actually goes to Pat's point, to stat, is that I think that the Nets think, dude, if they can settle this by playoffs, and I think the players the same way. You know what? I don't care if he plays a single regular season game. If he can get back to us by playoffs and we can have him full steam for playoffs,
no problem.
We'll get us through till then. I think
no problem.
I think they are fine with that.
I think they're going to try to punt until All-Star break, reevaluate, and if they say he's out for the season or he's out to the playoffs, because it's still to next June. So they're going to have a lot of stuff. It's just this story is going to going to ebb and flow.
And it is very interesting. They could theoretically hold out and make the playoffs and then have them play all their away games.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what they would.
I mean, and it would be like they're fine with that,
right? And they save money. They probably save like $20 million.
It's half of his salary.
Just make sure you don't fine them on top of it. Don't
I don't think it has nothing to do with the fine.
Don't fine.
Okay, here's the thing. You know what? This is what I do appreciate about, because Kyrie went on Facebook or Instagram Live or one of those type of things, and I was expecting him to say something kind of wild out. I love the fact that he did not take a position on the vaccination, right? He's not anti-vax. He's not, for the vax. He literally is just saying it's not for me, right? So and
he's specifying that if it was up to him, it would have been kept private and no one would even know what he is.
Right. So I appreciate that he's not even really taking a position on it, and he's just making this decision for himself, and I think that's good enough. I don't think anybody should jump on him, about that, because you have to respect that. I mean, I know, there's a lot of jobs. It's funny. Even in my job, I was telling them off air, my company is making it mandatory, and all of us are vaccinated, and we're like, that's not cool. They're making it mandatory, even though all of us are vaccinated, because we all decided. We just made this.
So you decided on your own.
Yeah, we decided on our own. Yeah. So, and everybody does not like the fact that they're making it mandatory.
I don't want to get into more on that, but I just want to ask one question, and maybe you guys can help me out. Are we talking about, are we mad at mandates, or are we mad at COVID vaccine? because mandates are happening,
Right.
and we've all at this table have been vaccinated one way or another.
Right.
Are we talking about COVID? Or are we talking about mandates? Because mandates are happening, and if you play sports, you're getting vaccinated.
Right.
So I'm just that's where I'm going to go to the. I don't like I said I don't want to go too deep into it, but I want to know what is.
So I don't
I'll
want
say my point.
Yeah.
If I could.
Don't want to debate
Okay.
back and forth, but
I'll just we don't want to get too, but
Yeah.
but we are who we
Yeah.
are. We're Profanity Nation, and we tell the truth of how we feel. Okay, this
Right.
is we're not selling this or telling anyone else. I have some concerns, and my concerns are this. Number one is COVID in general. Where did it come from? I actually believe it is man-made. There's no proof, but I believe it is. Okay, if that's the case, the fact that they came up with the vaccine so quick, but it is a different type of vaccine than normal, and they were able to come up with it so quick is a little bit concerning. Secondly, they lost me when they were trying to bribe people, when they were giving away a free turkey and $100 gift card and this. I mean, I didn't understand that. They kind of lost me, and that made me think that there's some sort of something going on there. So I just have some I'd like to watch and see. And obviously we know there are some health concerns, but most people are just fine. We know that. But for me, it's just kind of the origin, and I want to know more. And also I'm curious, I understand the importance of a vaccine. I do. I don't see anything being done on treatment. I mean, literally, people who are dealing with COVID themselves, once they have COVID, they're like, okay, they're doing, maybe this, maybe that. Once you're post-COVID, if you're dealing with long haulers, which there are a lot of people, they have no answers, and nobody's doing anything about that. Vaccine's important, but these people with long haulers, why don't they have any answers for how can you stop something that you don't have answers to this yet? I don't know. It's just kind of,
I mean, look,
it's out there. People have questions, and if they have questions, they should be able to do their research, and when they're comfortable to do it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, look, I get it. I mean, you have to understand it from it's the main things. Like, if you look at it historically, I know we're a sports show, so
it's okay.
But look at it like this, like even if we talk about, like, not even talking about the vaccine or COVID or anything, even if you look at like the women's rights type of thing, like they already know, like, okay, if you're 22 years old, you're probably gonna get married, and you're probably gonna get pregnant, and you're probably gonna have a baby, which means if you get pregnant, then legally we have to give you 6 weeks or 3 months or whatever. So I know, and not to say that it's right or wrong, I'm not trying to give an opinion, but what I'm saying is, now I know if I'm a boss, if I'm an owner of a company, then I'm going to have to. There's a possibility that this person is not going to be available. Not going to be available for me for the next 6 weeks to 2 months
at any time.
Right, and we know historically, that's why that we have the issues with the amount of women in the workplace and equal pay and all these types
equity,
types of things, because those are the types of things. And now listen, I think that's 100% wrong. They shouldn't do that. At all. So, that's my position on it. But I think these things
that sucks. The fact that women can't get pregnant on a job because they feel they're going to lose their job or not get a job.
That can't happen.
Right.
That's
right.
just ridiculous.
Or they may not even get the job because I don't want to have to deal with it. But people really think that way, and that's crazy. That people do think that way. It's not right. Disagree. I mean, everything should be based on skills. Everything should be equal. But at the end of the day, man, when I always say that business ain't got no feelings. And so if they go and they're a private business, they can make a decision on what they want to do, and then what I have to do, either I'm going to go with what they say, or I'm gonna become an entrepreneur. Like, look, personally, I'll tell you, I went and bought a house back in 2008 and 2009. My job said, hey, we're about to close this office and we're going to send you to Baker. It's 181 miles from where you are.
It's also 181 degrees.
Yeah. And it's
just to say.
Right. But look,
Baker. My God.
They sent me to Baker.
They put a thermometer there.
Yeah. They're like world's largest thermometer.
Right. Absolutely. And then
you can get a lot of alien jerky out there.
And then they said, well, what are you going to do? Because that's my option. Either I go or I leave. That was my option. And they were like, well, what are you going to do? I said, well, where can I go making the amount of money I'm making now? I just bought a house, just, have a 6-month-old daughter. Am I going to keep continuing my money stream, or am I going to start all over to try to find something else? I decided to go to Baker, and I was out in Baker, and I was in hell, literally. So, these are the things that these companies do, and we're never going to be able to change that. We're going to have to either make a decision to become an entrepreneur or abide by the rules that we
it's true.
Our employees.
It's true.
That's
true.
just the bottom line.
Either make the rules or abide by the rules.
Yeah. So that's just my position on all that.
That's true. I'll finish my last concern with the vaccine is that I will acknowledge over a year ago, July 2020, I tested positive for COVID. We all know. I was asymptomatic. I'd like to see the science. This is my last thing. I'd like to see the science on people who actually had COVID getting reinfected again. And I can't seem to find those numbers. They don't seem to release the actual percentages and chance of getting reinfected. I'd like to see that. I'd like to know. One of our peers, I'm going to call him a peer in our podcasting, Joe Rogan, he had the similar stance on that. He's just like, look, I had it. I take care of myself. I do this. He also happens to visit places like the Pure Life Alternative Wellness Center, just saying. And he's like the $500 million man. So that's it. We'll finish with that. But I hope the best for Kyrie. He's done a lot of things to himself to make himself stand out and cause himself some hassles. And this one kind of isn't. So, and then you kind of have to respect the man who is putting his money where his mouth is.
Yeah.
It's costing him.
Before we move on to Out of Bounds, we kind of did like glance over the fact that the Lakers do play on Tuesday.
Yes.
What are our predictions? We
go.
What do we feel about that game? How do we feel? I mean, we talked about the lineup, but what do we feel that? What do you want to see, Money? I mean, other than a win, other than a win.
You know what? I actually want to be able to see plays. I want to be able to know what they're going to run, the majority of time down court. I want to see the opponent score. You take the ball out. Who are we giving the ball to first? We're giving it to Westbrook, 60 to 70% of the time. Are they setting up their offense? Mm-hmm. That's kind of what I want to see. I just want to see a consistent way of playing. And I'm more concerned about the third and the fourth quarter versus the first quarter because, the first quarter is always, they're going to do everything perfect. What they were doing. Like I equate it to that Deontay Wilder fight and Tyson Fury. The first, everybody knows that Fury is not a boxer, but that first round, he was boxing. He was jabbing. By third round, that dude was slugging back.
And what is Tyson saying? What is the famous quote?
Oh,
everybody got a plan,
right?
And then he hit in the mouth,
right?
Mm-hmm. So that literally happened to him,
right? And
his plan went out the window.
Absolutely. So I just want to be able to see fluidity in offense, and even if I see, listen, I obviously want to win, but if I see a fluidity in offense, if I see what their vision is, then I'm good. Even if we it's a close game, has to be a close game, has to be competitive, and we lose it to last minute.
Okay, I certainly do not expect
court shot by Curry.
I certainly do not expect to see their vision in game one. Like Money Mike's looking for there, because it's only game one.
No, but
this is what I'd like to see. You're right, but this is what I'd like to see. Yes, a win is absolutely required. Game one at home with this team, you got to win against Golden State, who isn't even really back. And yes, you have to win that game. However, the way I want to see it won is I don't want to see it won with AD and LeBron. I want to see the new parts that are participating. I want to say that this person, that person made a difference. Westbrook, Carmelo. You're right. But I want to, that's my thing is I don't want to see that we have all these players and it's still give it to LeBron, let LeBron feed AD, and that's all we got. I want to see other people participate. I want to see them add to it. I want to see who's going to take Caruso's fire spot. I want to see.
I think we got somebody right there.
Okay, I think so too.
Got somebody.
Yeah, but that's what I want to see. So not just a win. I'd love to see a win based on a team win that isn't strongly AD and LeBron.
You know what? And I know we talked about before. I got big hopes for Carmelo this year. I really do believe Carmelo is
What's
going
his line?
to.
What's his line?
Well, you're gonna probably be 15-0-0.
He's not getting any rebounds or assists.
Well, he does get rebounds because he scares people off the board. I don't know if you've seen that video.
Y'all see that? Yeah, he tricks everybody out there every time he get the ball.
so he'll get rebounds, but when it comes to him, I really do believe. I think LeBron also knows that he's a bucket, and if LeBron needs a bucket, he's going to give it to his boy, even if Westbrook is kind of like still working himself out. If Westbrook is on the court with LeBron and AD and Carmelo is going to get that ball more than y'all think he is. I'm telling y'all right now, he's not going to be just a spot up shooter. If he's on the box and he got a smaller guy on it, it's going to him every time.
No, so that's the problem. Okay,
you're going to feed it.
Let me ask you this, Coach, because you said that they gonna give that to him every time.
Oh, look,
okay.
Man,
Here's my question. Here's my question. Because I'm not going to object to Carmelo getting the ball every time he's on the court, but he's not the first person you pass it to.
But I'm talking about the box. I'm not talking about out there and let him create from the top of the key and then attack the defense. No. I'm not talking about that.
Pitch it out.
I'm talking about if I see Dave all of a sudden we switch and there's Lillard on him and there's a smaller guy on him. Give him the rock. Why are we playing games? Why are we going to just say because he's Carmelo and he don't assist anybody that I don't want the 2 points that I think is going to be right there that's given to me? I'm not going. This dude has skills. If we watch, man, I'm telling y'all.
And he's never going to get tired.
I'm telling y'all, man.
He's not going to get enough minutes.
I'm telling y'all. He ain't going to shoot. If we worry about him shooting us out the games, he won't even be able to get those many shots up to shoot us out the game. Mm-hmm. If he gets more, if he's 0 for 6, he ain't getting the rock again. If he's 5 for 6, that junk is going to come out to be like.
And some games he will be 0 for 6, and other games he'll be 5 for 6. They'll feel him out. But the point is, as long as he comes out 5 for 6 the first few games, then the defense has to be honest, and they gotta respect him and stick with him.
I agree with that 100%. I definitely think he does not get the ball first. He's the
fourth option.
Run your offense, and then if they're playing great D, give the ball to Carmelo.
Pitch it
out. I'm telling y'all right now, y'all mark my words. If you pass to Carmelo first, it ain't going nowhere else.
It stops there.
It ain't going nowhere else.
The ball stops there.
Okay.
All right. So if you watch the show, you know that we like to end our podcast with a little episode we call Money Mike's Out of Bounds. Money Mike is going to share his opinion, thoughts, or whatever it might be on a topic, and he wants to know whether or not those are inbounds or out of bounds. Money Mike, you're on.
All right, y'all. So, there's a whole lot of stuff going on in the league and news and stuff. And I heard there was a report, and it was a very happy report, like a congratulatory report about Zaire Wade going over to the G League of the Utah Jazz. Now, I know that Zaire was at Sierra Canyon over there with LeBron and them, and Dwayne Wade was upset because Zaire couldn't get no time on his high school team. So, am I out of bounds to saying the only reason why Zaire Wade, because we got LiAngelo Ball, who has been balling, making a G League team, and we've seen what he's been able to do, and he was a star in high school, where Zaire Wade was not. Am I out of bounds for saying that that's nepotism? Because Dwayne Wade is part owner of Utah Jazz? Am I out of bounds that said that there's no way Zaire Wade would have made the G League?
Unless Utah, his dad is the owner.
Unless Dwayne Wade was part owner.
Oh no, you inbound, bro.
Yeah,
100% inbound. I think that the fact that you just gave us the whole picture and the fact that he's not Bronny, he's not balling. I mean, I don't see any highlights of Zaire Wade, none. And you telling he can't even get on the court.
Dwayne Wade was mad.
So look, man. You sent him there. You sent him there. You want him to get playing time, let him get playing time. But you want him to get playing time based because he's just your boys. Your homeboys' son is on the team. So you feel like since we're on the team, we were on the team, our kids be on the team. Look, man, at the end of the day, high school coaches got to keep their job too. Okay, they trying to win ball games. Right. And if your son is out there turning the ball over, jump shot ain't wet, and there's somebody behind him ready to go and looking for a scholarship,
he's gonna play.
He gonna play, man. That's just what it is, man. And and you know what? Those are valuable lessons. So guess what? Let him go to Utah. Let him go to that G League team, and then we all gonna see. We all gonna see.
It'll be on display.
We
Look, he's going to have to earn it. If he's a bench player on that G League squad, then he'll sit there.
We gonna punk the coach?
Yeah,
I'll fire you. You got 5%, bro. You got 5% stake. Calm down.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, but that 5% got.
It's allowed 5%.
And that's what
I'm going to say you're inbounds.
And that's what he get for his 5%.
Yeah, I'm going to say you're inbounds, my friend.
Okay, cool.
Money Mike is definitely inbounds. So you have your 100%. What do you guys think? Go ahead. You can send us an email. You can DM us on Instagram. You can just say, let us know what you think about Money Mike's inbounds or out of bounds. Is Zaire Wade nepotism being that he is on the Utah team? And does he actually deserve to be there? Time will tell. Time will tell. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. We look forward to next week's podcast because we will be in our new studio. So we're looking forward to that.
To talk about too.
Oh yeah, we've got lots to talk about. We'll talk about
the Dodgers is still in the playoffs.
Hey, and don't forget, you guys. Seriously, okay? Tuesday's really important day. I already got the Laker ticket. We just need someone to say, "Hey, I have one extra Dodger ticket. Would Sim still like to come sit next to me?" And look, I'll talk about it on air. And you'll be famous. It's awesome. It's great.
So
people.
Simpson say he gonna talk about it on air. I'm gonna say who I went with.
You're gonna take pictures, even?
Yeah, we're gonna have selfies.
All right. So you're gonna put your offer out there, and I'll put my Stats the sleeping horse. He's just gonna come out and go, bam. Here's money.
I got the day off.
That's hilarious. Yeah, exactly.
I got a hall pass. I'm going to the game.
Yeah, exactly. All right, everybody. So thank you so much. We are here every Sunday night at 8:30 p.m. Pacific. We are the Profanity Nation podcast. We are the voice of the professional fan. Thank you very much.
Profanity Nation.
A podcast for the fans, by the fans. Dive deep into the topics the other shows miss. Raw and uncensored.
And he's going to play team ball. His legacy is at stake.
Rare, hard-hitting interviews with players, coaches, and you, the super fans.
I'm not hating. I'm like, okay, cool. Good.
3 championships in 5 years. He's more than good, bro.
Profanity Nation. Listen live or subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. Powered by Jesse Brown of Keller Williams.